Welcome to another episode of Galactic Ambassadors podcast. My name is Julia Balaz, and today I'm joined by Simone Padilha, who is joining us from Australia. She lives there for the last 22 years, just over 22 years, and originally from Brazil. I was excited for Simone to become certified as a Quantum Soul Guidance Practitioner because she added the Portuguese language to our basket of many different languages. So thank you so much for that, Simone, and congratulations. Super well done. I really look forward to hearing your story as you have such a variety of different modalities, including the most beautiful art that you offer in many forms, including as therapy, whether young children or the most senior citizens. And there is so much more for you to share. And I also look forward at looking at your astrology chart because you have quite interesting stars and galactic alignments. I think we can bring something new to this podcast. So let's dive right in. Welcome, Simone. How are you today?
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
I'm curious about your journey. How did you start following your heart's desire for expansion and study? You've studied so many different modalities. We will mention them all, I hope, during this podcast. But where did your journey start?
That's a long story. I think my journey, when I realized that things are coming true, was back actually it was when I was around 4 years old. So I have this memory of myself. I was in the backyard at my auntie's house, and I was playing with a marble balls, and I was looking into that and was kind of looking it did look like the universe in there. So, and I had this big question in my mind, thinking that what would happen if we fall from the planet? And I was just 4 years old. So I always been very sensitive to energies. I had a very tough childhood because my father, he had problems with addictions. So I believe that I kind of developed my intuition from early age. When I was around 14 years old, I got my first pack of tarot cards. I'm very attracted to images in general. I think they talk to me a lot. I got into studying tarot cards. For me, it was very scary the first time that I had the tarot on my hands because I didn't know the meaning of the cards, but when I put the cards, I could feel and I could see things, and I got very scared. I thought that I was dealing with something that I was wrong because my family background was Catholic, and somehow I thought that I was dealing with dark energies. So I threw the tarot cards in the river. And then I got another tarot cards few months after. Can't remember exactly. But then, the curiosity kind of kept me, pushing me to that again. And then I started to read a little bit more to understand the meaning of the cards. But the question always, if I was doing something right or if I was doing something wrong, if I was dealing with light energy or if I was dealing with dark energy. Always inquiring about, and I always been aware that there was something that was light and there was the dark energy as well. It's funny because I have a friend that she's astrologer as well, and she always says that I was born in the house of Pluto. And if you look into my natal chart, you're probably going to see that I have She says that I have a mafia because I have a Pluto, Uranus, and Moon in Virgo in the 4th house. For me, that learning and the awareness of the subconscious always being quite present. So all my life, I kept studying and I learning much more about tarot and about energies, and then about astrology.
Before you go any further, I'm sure the story expands even more once you started studying some of the modalities. I'm looking at your galactic astrology chart, and I can see some of the indicators of what you're describing there. In particular, strong connection to Fulmahot and Pisces, and the 10th house. I believe people who struggle with addiction. So if we talk about your father, and by the way, you have Chiron in 10th house in connection to Pisces. So I have a lot of compassion for him and his addictions, because it seems that people with addictions, they happen to experience that path because of their deep desire for unity feeling. They feel so disconnected from source, from God, from unconditional love. In order to numb those feelings of their human body, they start with addictive behavior. It's so interesting to see that astrologically too, because with Pisces, for any newbies here, it's all about complete unity, no boundaries, no limits. You just feel one with God's love. But in human earth body, most likely ancestral trauma playing its role as well in his life's experience, feeling that heaviness and disconnection and pain, being in human form, using whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatnots. It's a way out, but it's a vicious circle. So I've seen these stories so many times with QHHT sessions, how starseeds, volunteer souls, come in with so much light, so much love, unconditional love. And certainly your Sun conjunct Orion Nebula within just few minutes, and Sun also connecting to your father. I wonder if you ever looked at his soul records, if you get permission to, it might be that he's coming from the Orion direction, helping to resolve the polarity struggles and a lot of trauma in that lineage. So he did, in a way, he played his role, taking on a lot of the most heavy energy. And then you, as the next generation, kind of continuing the mission of healing, clearing the ancestral lineage, where it was a little bit easier for you, perhaps, as you said, developing your intuitive skills and your instincts very early on from such a young age, and then eventually you found your path. You didn't have to go down that addictive route, and you are here in service to others, able to hold a lot of compassion for others' struggle and pain. So it's quite incredible how there are so many puzzle pieces, and how we work together across many generations to bring more light and love into our DNA, into our lineage. It's quite interesting to see it this way, isn't it?
When I learned about my galactic astrology and the former house, I thought that was so spot on, because I always been very full of compassion, and I knew that I was in service, and I felt quite responsible to looking after my whole family, even I was just 5 years old. So I kind of stepped into the position and kind of putting order in the house and protecting my mom, because she was she was very young as well. So, and protecting my father and protecting my brother and sister. And that made so much sense for me, because I never understood why I was like this. So, but especially now that you bring on this information, for me, it's exactly what happened back then.
I'm sorry, before you go further, I'm sorry for interrupting. You have Saturn conjunct Fulmahot. So Saturn is all about taking responsibility in this life, learning through responsible choices, and perhaps also very strongly connected to previous lifetime, something that we have to either pay back or do in order to clear karma. So you had Saturn conjunct Fulmahot, the royal star, connected to divine compassion and healing. And then your moon opposing Fulmahot, your Pluto opposing Fulmahot. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And by learning through this, I always from this initial experience that I had with my family, and then moving out of the family group, somehow I had a bit of more access to understanding what happens in here, and always being very able to understand the pains in general. So it was actually was for a long time was very difficult to have a sense of myself, because I was so connected to people that were suffering and always wanting to help them in a way. So I had to work on myself quite a lot to kind of build up the boundaries between the others and myself. So it took me a long time to be able of have my individuality protected. And I always knew, I never had questions if what I was here to do. I always knew that I'm here to help people to move through problems, to help people to have a better vision where they are in life. For me, it always came so clear. So because I'm a Gemini as well, I always being curious and learn techniques and learn things that, how can I improve myself and be able to offer this to someone that is in pain, someone that is in difficulties in life. So that's why took me to learn so much techniques, because I really wanted to know in a practical way what really worked for people, because I didn't just want to say, oh, I'm sending you energy and you're going to feel okay. So I always felt the need of learn and experience on myself, so then I would know if that really it makes sense, if that really it's working, and then I could offer and I could practice on people. That's why I end up learning so many things and kept looking for something else here and there, because I always felt the need bring them most effective type of healing to people.
So good. In terms of the royal stars, that you have several of them in your chart, but it seems the house of relationships is where you activate the galactic center, and also Antares royal star, and the Aldebaran is conjunct your Mercury, your mind, your thinking, your communication in the first house. So you have this really powerful axis with royal stars and the galactic center, and the great attractor. So these super cosmic points where when you choose the path of service, holding space for others, you become like a stargate to multidimensional consciousness, helping to heal and clear the most deepest, most oldest ancient wounds, and helping others connect to their higher selves. So it's amazing to see that you felt guided, throughout your life by the spirit, and that you are walking this path so gracefully. It's just, I love this. There is one star that we haven't mentioned in our podcast before. You have this star on your midheaven. Midheaven is connected to our path of service, how we show up in the world and for the world. Yours is conjunct Eridanus constellation and the Achernar star. And this star is connected with kind of promise of happiness and well-being and success, but most of all for deep desire to study whether religious, spiritual, occult, philosophical kind of topics. And so you having that star on your midheaven is like you're using that frequency to serve the world. There's also a sense of kind of royalty or high integrity or virtues there. It almost feels like one of the royal stars to me too, if I compare it to the flavor we get from the royal stars, meaning Aldebaran, Antares, Fomalhaut, and Regulus. So pretty powerful alignments there for you, Simone. Can you tell us when you moved, what was it like when you moved from Brazil, everything you knew, and then you undertaken the hero's journey where you left everything and moved to Australia, protected and guided by spirit.
Yeah, before I came to Australia, because before I was working, like although I was studying, I didn't really believe on my skills, or I knew that I had, but I never felt confident to give these to people, to offer to other people. I would do just for friends. And I was working in a corporate environment, but I was very unhappy doing that paperwork. And when I came to Australia, it was a very difficult journey here at the beginning, because, you're moving from another country, you don't speak the language. And I actually took myself on a big adventure, because I decided not to contact anyone or make any connections here before I arrived. So when I arrived here, I didn't have a place to sleep. I just got out of the plane, and then when I realized that I was in Australia and I didn't even have a place to go. But I wanted to test my faith that things would fall into place. And it did happen. I've met someone in the airplane, and then she was on her own as well. And then we end up going to the same place, and we stayed giving support to each other for maybe 3 months. But all my journey in Australia was a lot about proving myself that we are assisted, that we have that support, that divine support. So from there, anything that happened in my life here, like meeting the right people and getting, if I need a job or if I need a house, it would fall on my lap. And then I met a group of friends, and we had weekly sessions to develop our intuition. So it was a support group for everyone. We were studying a lot about spirituality in general. And we had this group for it was many years, like maybe 5 years, doing these sessions every Sundays. And for me, like, was when I really stepped into that spirituality so strongly that I knew that was part of me. It wasn't something separated anymore. At that time, I was I was working as a massage therapist. That's the way I started to work with people and offer my healing. I knew how powerful it was through the massage, through the physical touch, people would feel very good. So I did this type of work for about 20 years in my life. And between this time, I would sometimes step into astrology and do a little bit of astrology, and then get out of astrology again and do astrology or do tarot cards and stop again. I didn't have that confidence to work with people, because I always felt that, I don't know, I had a bit of resistance around me talking about the other person's abilities or needs, or just by putting these in words. I always felt that the energy work that I could offer was much more stronger than the words itself. But then past 3 years, I believe so, was exactly when I learned about the quantum frequency healing. And then I just felt, no, that's what I want to do. I want to stop doing the massage. I want to stop doing the physical, because actually physically I was feeling that I was getting too much in my body as well. And then I step back into do just the healing.
I wonder if you kind of surprised yourself, or if you were quite amazed often at what the feedback was like from your clients, because seeing all those amazing galactic alignments in you is something really special must have been activated during those healing experience. Would you say you have many stories to tell in that regard? Like feeling really grateful to be able to be a channel for divine energy, to work with people, to help them?
Yeah, I had many amazing people doing amazing shifts in their lives. I believe that I saw more than 10,000 people, just by doing the healings. And I do believe that I could be a channel for those people to just step into something different in their lives. And it's even weird, like when you talk or when people talk to me, because I just think that I haven't done anything, I just say what I should say, or I just touch the area that I should touch, but it's not me. I just feel that I'm in service in somehow, and I'm here to do this, because I learned from such an early age that was what I came to do. But it's strange thinking that you were doing something, because it's just serving, it's just fulfilling that.
Yeah, we don't take credit for that. We accept the channel role very humbly, but it's just such a beautiful and powerful validation of what I've been saying so many times. When we have Antares aligned and the Great Attractor aligned in the 7th house of relationship, the person is guided through life to connect with hundreds upon hundreds, thousands of people, because God or the Great Spirit is able to use that person as a portal for powerful transformation to happen, or to kind of elevate the frequency. And I believe wholeheartedly that so many souls are here on a mission to uplift the frequency of human consciousness. So I'm just, my heart is expanding hearing your story. I've never heard the term or about the modality quantum frequency healing, and another name for it, Tameana. How would you pronounce that? You have that on your website. Is it similar than Reiki, or what is the difference?
Yeah, Tameana was created by an Argentinian guy, and he channeled the Pleiadians frequency. So he does light languages and sending the energy. Yeah, it's amazing technique. And
really good. Interestingly, you have your Mars conjunct Pleiades within 1 degree. So high degrees of Taurus for you in the 12th house of the karmic clearing, the subconscious healing of all kinds, compassionate service. So isn't it interesting how that aligned with you too? Anything else you wanted to say about that, the quantum frequency healing?
And the quantum frequency healing was a technique that I learned when back in 2019, I went to Brazil to visit my family. I found out that I had some autoimmune disease, and I was pretty unwell. Like I was thinking that I wouldn't last longer. I just thought that I needed something to energy work, because I was going to doctors and no one could find out what was my problem. So I decided to have a session where I just found out this woman, and she was doing the quantum frequency healing. I just decided to have a session with her. It was my first time that I had experienced an online session. Amazing. I just felt so much better. And from there, my body kind of started to regenerate, and I found out what I have. And so I could also change my diet and change everything to feel better. And then I decided to learn, and that was exactly when I came back in October 2019, and then we had COVID in 2020, and then I was at home doing nothing. Then I saw, I want to learn. And fortunately, this person, because I don't think there's many people doing the quantum frequency healing outside Brazil, because that was channeled by a woman from Brazil. Yeah, then I was doing the course and I became a facilitator as well. And basically the quantum frequency healing works with the portals of energy. It works with the crystalline grid, flower of life, with Merkaba. There's many different ones, and it works also with the dragons, Mother Mary, unicorns. So it depends where you know, because there are different layers, different kind of portals, but depends what the person needs. You get into work on that portal specifically, and you bring on that energy for the person, bring on that healing. So I also do the dowsing, and then I use many tools. Like I have lots of different cards, and because I'm visual myself as well, sometimes I need some cards, and through the cards I can really feel the energy, and I can send the energy that's needed. So it becomes quite eclectic, very different way of working.
Very good. That's a perfectly defined Gemini type of healer.
Yeah,
I love it. I love that we live in the age now where we can kind of hybridize modalities. And I know some teachers are quite strict about it. And with certain modalities, you shouldn't, they say, you should not combine others into it. But with some modalities, they complement each other so beautifully. And I feel so excited to hear that we have these energy healing that facilitates the many preferences for different codes or portal ways of, people. Different people resonate with different ascended masters, with different symbology. So I think it's very innovative how the channeling of the quantum frequency healing incorporated that arising need for people just feel confident or more open to allowing the healing when they know that actually we're using the coding of your preferred ascended master, or the flower of life, the sacred geometry and things like that. So I'm really excited that I learned about this new modality, and thank you for expanding it beyond Portuguese language and bring it into English speaking environment. That's really awesome. So if it's okay with you, I would like to share my screen and show your website, and let's talk about a little bit about how you utilize galactic astrology in your experience. First of all, it's beautiful to see your stunning art throughout your website. On every little page that I click on, you incorporate it, but here we are on the home page. And when people scroll down, they can learn a little bit about you, how you kind of approach the visitors of your website first, the words that you share, and various modalities that you have. So you do art therapy for like one-on-one session, but also group sessions. And me knowing you for almost 2 years now, or just over a year and a half, you work a lot with children and groups of children with art. So I'm sure that must be so amazing. And for children to feel that beautiful divine frequency of the Fomalhaut coming through you, the Orion Nebula, which, I can definitely sense that beautiful angelic frequency that I often see when people have Orion Nebula and Fomalhaut conjunct in some way in their chart. So I'm sure kids are elevated in your presence, and it must be a lot of fun. Then you offer galactic astrology. So can you tell me a little bit about how your sessions go? How much time you give? Is it Zooms or reports? What's your preference?
I'm doing a Zoom session, and what I'm offering at the moment, it's one session of 90 minutes where I download and I channel all the information. And then another 6-minute session where we can book. Sometimes it's 2 weeks after the initial session, and it's what I call an integration session. And on the integration session, I'm offering either Tameana or quantum healing frequency, or if I have any message, a specific message to complement the information that I gave before, I bring into the second session.
It's 90 minutes with a possible follow-up session, and you spend a lot of time preparing and channeling, offering an energy healing too. So that's great value. And then there is traditional astrology, if people kind of want to exclude the star seeds information, right?
With the traditional astrology, I created a way of reading that I call a dynamic. I created a mandala of astrology. Yeah, I use it a little bit of different, so I'm not giving so much technical information. So it's more through the feeling, what are the main transits or the most important. So I normally like to work with the outer planets because I think they're so relevant in our lives, especially Saturn, and of course then the other ones. But yeah, it's about feeling what is happening right there and what will make sense for the client.
That's brilliant. Today, as I was preparing for this podcast, I realized it's so beautiful to see so many artists navigating towards galactic astrology, because before I would have presumed that artistic mind is not really inclined towards studying astrology because it is so technical, so analytical, so logical. But seeing this huge wave of creative, artistic, right brain people now getting to use astrology, I think it's such a beautiful combination where we can balance the left brain with the right brain, which was so needed. Okay, then we have Vision Quest Soul Journey. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
With the Vision Quest Soul Journey, I also combine different techniques, but it's coaching in a way and helping the person to see beyond their own perceptions. I love to use the tarot cards because I believe the tarot cards, it makes so clear where the person is in life. And from there, we find what are your goals. And, there's so many possibilities that you can work. I did a lot of therapy courses in Australia and outside Australia. So I learned a lot of different techniques and different approaches. It's a bit of a more freestyle of working.
I love it. What I love seeing here for you, Simone, as well, is that you offer a kind of self-empowerment through tarot, where people can book mentoring with you, and with each session they will get to understand how to work with tarot cards themselves and go deeper and deeper for their own guidance, so they can stop using psychics or other readers for their guidance, but you help them find confidence in using the intuition themselves through tarot. And I have to say, I used to go to soul readers for many years. When I got stuck with one, which was just absolutely brilliant, he kept encouraging me to start trusting my own intuition, that I should know these answers because he could sense everything that was in my soul. And it was thanks to tarot then that I was able to stop, because I just started playing with it, using tarot, learning a little bit about it. And even now to this day, whenever I feel that something is stuck with my energy and I need some guidance, need some clarity, I get the tarot cards out, and it's amazing, always absolutely mind-blowing how just 3 simple cards can give you the exact guidance you need, with very detailed description and explanation of what you need to refocus on or what you are not seeing and what needs to be done. Just tarot card is they're so amazing. So
yeah.
Big fan.
If you don't want to see it because it's just in front of you, like, so many times I need some clarification, and I put the cards and I see, oh no, I'm not gonna
yeah, I'm certainly a big fan of just the prayer, prayer to the Great Spirit, and kind of praying for guidance to show up in your everyday life, and certainly to show up through inner experience. But in some cases, it's complex, and having the beautiful definition of a card, first of all, you can let it speak to you on itself, but for people who are maybe not as used to using their intuition and decoding symbology, there are free websites now where you type in any card that you draw, and there's beautiful explanation, quite lengthy, and you can totally apply it to the issue that you have. So
yeah, but sometimes the feeling, it comes first. As soon as you put the image there, or the feeling that you get when you put that card, it will say straight away what's the answer for that question.
Yes, oh, absolutely. Okay, is there anything else on your website? When there's about section, there's like such a long paragraph with so many modalities that you've studied. So I invite people to visit your website, arts, plural with S at the end, artshealinghearts.com.au for Australia. And you can explore many beautiful images of the art that you've created, all the modalities that Simone offers in service to others' well-being, and the about section as well, with a little bit about her journey. In terms of you going through the Quantum Soul Guidance course, how was it for you? Did you feel overwhelmed with the amount of information there, or actually because you're double Gemini, your Sun and Ascendant?
Yes,
you thrived in it. So how was the experience for you? And is there any message or anything that helped you, how you navigated it, that might help others?
Initially, yeah, but I went through the whole course in few days because, the curiosity. I just went and I just looked all the course and all the information, and it was was amazing. But yeah, it was for me, I felt more difficult when you had to put the information together. I was getting all the information, getting the charts and getting all the informations, going all the planets and all the star systems connected to that planets. And I was looking and writing down things, and that was taking me ages to get to an understanding. So how that's going to be useful for either for myself or for a client. And I was a bit overwhelmed for sure. But then I stepped out of that and I just realized that, okay, my intuition will guide me to what is important to get into this chart. What's the information that it's important? So now I'm not so worried and see all the planets and all the connections, because I know that some might not be so relevant for the person at that moment. And also I'm not writing too many things before the sessions, like I'm letting my intuition, letting the guidance and letting myself to channel the right information. So I felt it became easier because I was getting a bit anxious in doing sessions because I just felt there was too much information. And some of the information maybe would be overwhelming for the client as well. So once I did step back, I felt there was much better. And also, I just think that your work is amazing. Back in 2005, when I did some studies about astrology, I actually had something in the back of my mind about the fixed stars, and I was like, I spent a lot of time, looking for things, and I kept always curious about. And when your course came up, I just felt, that's exactly where that missing point. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So that's why when I saw you talking about, and actually I was looking for star seeds, astrology, and it just came to me like as everything else, just go and look for this. And then I found you, and then the information, it's amazing.
So glad to hear all that. And I just want to highlight the important message through experience that when you are aware of everything you learn in the course, I always say it's like a full buffet, because I'm training practitioners that can come across so many different scenarios. I really try to portray all that can arise as much as possible. But it's the key before any session is to have that strong intention that you just want to bring out what's most relevant at this time for the person, and then trusting that it will kind of speak to you, it'll come out, it'll step out of the chart and of the soul records. So you're only using fraction of everything you've learned in the course when you're doing a reading. I really hope that'll help some of the students that are still just going through the course and who are in that experience, because you're acutely aware of all that is there. But yeah, it's okay to know that there's a lot there, but which is kind of stepping out as most relevant for the person at this time. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing your love and light so beautifully, so gracefully. I want to mention also that Simone is my helping hand in editing the Galactic Ambassadors podcast, so that I can focus on other things more. So for the last year, Simone was editing this podcast series for us, and I'm so grateful that I can just pass it on, and I know it's going to be well looked after. So thank you so much for continuing to support this community in this very special way. And may the right people be guided to this podcast and guided to book their sessions with you. I know they'll feel blessed and expanded and healed and transformed as a result of working with you. Is there any final message, final words you would like to say?
Yeah, I'm just very grateful of being part of this group.
Much love, everyone. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Cheerio.